At its peak, Nokia controlled more than 40% of the global mobile phone market. 4 out of every 10 phones sold on Earth carried the Nokia name. Its ringtone was the soundtrack of the early 2000s. And its phones were everywhere, from the streets of New York to the villages of Africa. Durable, reliable, and affordable. Nokia wasn't just a company, it was the phone company. Yet within just a single decade, this titan collapsed, overtaken by Apple and Android. This is the story of Nokia, its meteoric rise, its tragic fall, and the lessons it left behind. Nokia's story doesn't begin with electronics. It begins in 1865, when Fredrik Idestam opened a pulp mill in Tampere, Finland. His company produced paper. Simple and practical, nothing glamorous. Over the next century, Nokia expanded into rubber boots, tires, and cables. By the 1980s, it had become a sprawling industrial conglomerate. But among all those divisions, one stood out: telecommunications. Finland's geography made phone lines difficult to build. The country needed better ways to connect people across forests, lakes, and remote towns. Nokia seized the opportunity. They began making radio telephones and later built the infrastructure to support them. Quietly, Nokia was preparing itself for the mobile revolution. By the 1990s, Nokia made a bold decision: shed its distractions and focus almost entirely on telecommunications. It was a risky move, but it turned out to be the right one. In 1994, they released the Nokia 2110, the first phone to feature the now famous Nokia tune. A few years later came the Nokia 3210 and the 3310. Those phones weren't just successful, they were iconic. Everyone remembers them: the long battery life, the indestructible build, and of course, Snake. By 1998, Nokia had surpassed Motorola to become the largest phone manufacturer in the world. And the momentum didn't stop. In 2007, at its peak, 1 in 3 phones sold globally was a Nokia. Let that sink in. 1 in 3. Nokia's success wasn't an accident. It was built on 4 pillars. First, reliability. Nokia phones didn't break, drop them, step on them, even toss them. They just kept working. Second, affordability. Nokia made phones for everyone, not just the wealthy, reaching millions in emerging markets where landlines had never existed. Third, global reach. Their distribution network stretched across continents. And finally, design. Colorful covers, polyphonic ringtones, cameras, even early internet access. Nokia also developed Symbian OS, one of the first smartphone platforms. In theory, they had everything needed to own the future. But theory and execution are very different things. In January 2007, Steve Jobs walked on stage and unveiled the iPhone, a touchscreen device with smooth software, full web browsing, and a brand new idea: the App Store. Nokia's leadership didn't see it as a threat, at least not at first. Their Symbian phones were selling in the hundreds of millions. Why would people want an expensive touchscreen when they could buy a cheap, reliable Nokia? But consumers did, and fast. Symbian suddenly looked outdated. It was slow, clunky, and hard for developers. iOS and later Android offered something Symbian couldn't: a modern, fluid experience with endless apps. Inside Nokia, problems mounted. Management was divided, bureaucracy slowed innovation, some teams pushed for bold changes while others clung to what had worked before. The company was stuck in limbo, unable to commit to a new vision. By 2010, the writing was on the wall. Nokia's once dominant market share was crumbling. That year, the company hired Stephen Elop, a former Microsoft executive, as CEO. In a now famous internal memo, Elop described Nokia as standing on a burning platform. The company had 2 choices: stay and burn, or jump into the unknown. Nokia jumped. They abandoned Symbian and partnered with Microsoft to run Windows Phone. On paper, it sounded smart: Nokia's hardware plus Microsoft's software. But in reality, it was too late. Developers weren't interested in Windows Phone. Consumers didn't want it. Android and iOS had already locked up the future. In 2013, the unthinkable happened. Nokia sold its entire mobile phone business to Microsoft for just $7.2 billion, a fraction of its former value. Microsoft tried to revive the brand, but by 2016, they gave up. The Nokia name was licensed out to HMD Global, a smaller Finnish company that still produces Nokia-branded phones today, but the magic was gone. Nokia still exists, but not as the phone maker we remember. Today, it focuses on telecom infrastructure, the invisible networks that keep our smartphones connected. Important work, but not nearly as glamorous as the days when Nokia ruled the world. For millions, though, the name Nokia sparks nostalgia, the ringtone, the snake game, and those indestructible phones. Nokia's story is a reminder that no company, no matter how dominant, is safe from disruption. Technology moves fast, and if you don't keep up, you get left behind. This was the story of Nokia, the company that once connected the world, but lost its connection to the future. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out our other story, The Rise and Fall of BlackBerry. And let us know in the comments, which company should we cover next?